We're putting it on Zoom so people remotely can attend.
Second, like little faces popping up.
Well, this is the webinar version of Zoom, so I keep everything controlled. People can't chime in or anything like that. So they're just in a watch-only
Will you
mode.
see their faces up there? Or?
Well, they're going to see whatever we see right here.
Are you ready? Should we start? Or?
I can start whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay. Oh, waiting for everybody else. Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
That's a good idea.
Let's see. It looks like there's people on. You can look at some names.
Sure.
Alice Smith, Betsy, Billy, Harbeck, Donna Long, Harbeck, Shannon, Monahan.
Oh, yeah. They're all on.
The names, you can see who's
You can see who's already signed in.
What time is it on my Zoom? It is 2:57.
Oh.
We're right on the money. Right on the money.
Where are most of the remote people at? Are they scattered or?
So Shannon's my second oldest, and she's up in Maryland.
Oh, that's where I'm from.
Oh, really? Where?
Right outside of Annapolis, Savannah Park.
Yeah. So
Where's
this
she?
daughter here, okay, Catherine.
So
Where's she
the
at?
military goes first.
The military goes first.
You know that now, but you don't care. You just get a phone.
Just,
You do.
You just.
you tell me what to do and I'll do it.
We're all on the Eastern Shore.
Oh, wonderful.
So my one,
Everybody's gonna.
I have twins.
Three
They're
o'clock on
going to be 22, and Catherine is going to be moving out with her boyfriend. Who just bought a house in Savannah Park.
No way.
So yeah,
Could have sold them.
So I know.
Savannah Park's great community.
Oh yeah. We've been I'm from Michigan.
Yeah, that's where my sister moved to, Grand Rapids.
Oh my God.
Did we have a lot of
Grand Haven.
well, my nieces and nephew, well, my nieces went there.
So you'll see the pictures. I put pictures of. We went there in the summer with Dad. A few minutes before.
Yeah, the 3 weeks of summer.
Was no, it was the whole entire summer.
Well, that's my weather joke to my sister.
Yeah, I put the pier in the lighthouse.
Oh,
One with the sunset and one
wonderful.
on here. So that's so funny. What a small world.
Yeah, it is. Savannah Park and Grand Haven.
Shannon's in a park.
I think we talked one
Just
time,
big,
and then
watching this. You can see the Bay Bridge from it.
Okay, I think it goes, there's another name for the
If
park.
you go over the Bay Bridge onto the Eastern Shore, you take a right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's right down there by Dirty Dave's and Kent. We could crack just about.
Oh, Kenmore. No, it's the other side.
Oh, the other
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
the
But they
town
actually
side.
live by Kenmore.
I got
Down
you.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun little beach getaway for the day.
Yeah.
30 days or something like that. It was the beach area.
Yeah, that's why I love Dirty Dave. Okay, yeah, that was
Yes.
Kenmore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they ended up getting a new owner because I guess a lot to do with the health department and not running the place right. So
Uh-oh. Well, thank goodness crabs don't need a whole lot of health oversight.
I know. I guess I should sit down.
Yeah. You want to sit down? I'll sit down.
Your stuff there.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today to celebrate the life of Richard. At this time, if you can please make sure your cell phones are turned to silent or turned off, that'd be greatly appreciated. We are going to go ahead and start our service this afternoon with military honors. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now conduct military funeral honors, which will consist of the playing of taps and the folding and presentation of the flag. During the playing of taps, it's customary that you stand, place your hand over your heart as you would the national anthem. If you're prior service or a first responder, at that time it would be appropriate to render the hand salute. At this time, if able, please stand. States, the United States Army, and the grateful nation. Please accept this flag as a symbol of appreciation for your loved one's honorable and faithful service. Please accept my personal condolences on your loss.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Elizabeth Turk, and I wish to welcome you all as we gather together today to peacefully and lovingly commit and bid adieu to United States Army member Richard H. Harbeck, known as Porky to his beloved wife, who is also known to Richard as Porky Coo. Yet I'm told his friends called him Dick, to his children he was Dad, and to his precious grandchildren he was known as Granddad. Today, as we bid farewell, let us thank Richard for the service that he gave of himself to us all and to our beautiful nation through his truly dignified service in the United States Army. Today, as he joins together with our nation's most honorable brethren and loved ones gone before, I offer comfort to each of you during this time of loss. Richard is survived by his precious wife, Liz, whom he married back in 1990 at the First Presbyterian Church up in Royal Oak, Michigan. Richard is also survived by his children, daughter Sharon Smith and her husband, Michael, son Richard Harbeck Jr., and his wife, Melissa. And Richard is joining us today by the live feed, so we welcome you and Melissa today, and daughter Elizabeth Monahan and her husband Joseph. And because of his children, Richard became the beloved grandfather to Elizabeth and her husband Joseph, Catherine and Joseph, who I've learned are twins, Colleen, Shannon, Dylan, and Alexandra, Claire and Richard, also twins, and Sarah. Now in his life, he was amply blessed because he also became an adored great-grandfather to Olivia and Matthew. This family was a family that had many layers, for as we know, family is like a patchwork quilt, woven together piece by piece. This family had its own unique texture and colors, which added to the tapestry of each of your lives. I am certain today that Richard, he thanks each of you for being a part of his life and part of his journey, because what you were filled his life with love, joy, companionship, and so much more. Yet before all the family building began, I understand Richard attended Cranbrook, a boarding school that all the boys went to, and his sister, she went to Kingswood, both up in Michigan. And later, Richard went on to Harvard and the University of Michigan for grad school. From this, he probably went into the field of human resources and stayed in that profession for 40 years. Not many can say that much these days now, can they? Though many knew him through different moments in life, there was a steady thread that ran through them all, a man that was devoted to supporting his family no matter what, and guiding them safely in life, and even helping them with their professional journeys. Richard, when giving of himself while to serving our great country during wartime, the Korean War, where calm thinking, precision, and responsibility were not just part of the job, it was their way of life. While stationed in France, I learned he was fortunate because he had two friends, and one of them just happened to have a car. And because of that, when they got leave from their military duties, they were blessed with the opportunity to travel throughout France together for sharing his daughter. Later, his professional calling led him to human resources at Federal Mogul, an auto company where they made parts for American-made automobiles, as well as an outplacement firm in Troy for Richard. And as mentioned, he remained in that profession for 40 years. Richard went on to tell me that his dad, he liked his work, and he really found it fulfilling. But the measure of a man was never found only in the hours that they worked. It was found in the way that he did the best he could. He loved his family in his own way, and it was his support that carried them through, and how he found joy in so many things together. I've learned Richard in his life had developed a deep love of sailing, and he so enjoyed sailing on Spring Lake in Grand Haven for Liz. And years ago, he also just loved to play cribbage with his grandfather. Sharon exclaimed in agreement that he did truly love to sail, and that his boat with his parents at the parents' home, that it was on a lake. That was a large part of Richard's life, and she further shared Richard, he was blessed because he did grow up in Grand Haven on a lake. I've learned that many members of this family have lake cottages there, and every summer, Richard's children went to see their grandparents there. But oh, how he loved to race his boat on Lake Michigan. I've learned Liz went too, and she also learned how to sail. And I'm told he also had a small boat in Birmingham, Michigan. Clearly a sailing lover. Not a major animal lover, yet he loved dogs, and if they jumped up on his lap or got close to his face, he wouldn't push them away, as he did like animals. Yet Liz, she was more of the animal lover in the family. But Richard shared when the kids were growing up, they did have dogs. Liz joyfully shared that her husband, he was quite the jokester, and he just loved to share riddles with folks. He began sharing riddles as a youngster, which carried into adulthood. In fact, she further shared that he gave a riddle to every person he ever met because he liked to make people think. When chatting with Sharon, she also mentioned her dad's love of riddles, which he shared even with the doctors in the hospital as well as the nurses. She told me that her dad, he always knew where his children resided, and he could be found on the phone saying, "I saw you had some rain last week," because he knew, because he looked daily at the newspaper where his kids were living just to make sure they were okay. Richard tenderly shared that his father was the type of father that was caring, supportive, and always there for him, advising him with his resume and his jobs and his profiles. And in this way, he was a dad that could always be counted on. Always financially supportive as well through the years, and as a grandpa, I hear he was just the best and much adored. Yet Richard also fondly remembered time spent flying kites in the park with his dad when he was young as well. For his bride, Liz, Richard came into her life at just the right time, as she lost her mom, and she was an only child, and she was quite alone in this world when they got together. And speaking of Liz at this time, she will now participate in a candle lighting service, lighting the path for Richard, and I will bring the candle to you, my dear. Richard, my love, though your physical presence is no longer by my side, your light will continue to shine in all the cherished memories we made together. You are my husband, my partner, my friend, and even though life feels impossibly different without you here, the love we share isn't going anywhere. For us, I hope our reunion one day where we can finish our love story. And until then, my husband, know that you are loved in this life, and you meant the world to me. And one day we will be together again. So Porky, let your soul sail on, and let this candle's flame light your way. For forever I love you, my Porky. This marriage afforded wonderful times sharing so many things together, like cruising and visiting the kids in the summer and being part of the local out to dinner group here locally, where they went out to local restaurants with friends. And I'm told that was always a great time spent sharing with all of your great friends. Richard and Liz also happened to be very good friends with my late mother and stepdad, Ann and Dan Millarney. And many a good time was had by these four. In fact, Liz and Ann, these gals, were also known to attend a fashion show or two. And actually, because of their great friendship, this is how I was able to know Richard and Liz through the years. But surely all of this, perhaps, is the legacy that Richard leaves behind. A man who guided his children, even if from afar, and also a man, more importantly, who guided the lives of those around him, whether a friend, a family, but he always did it with generosity, humor, loyalty, and love. His presence brought something special to the world, and the lives he touched will forever be richer because he was here. For Richard H. Harbeck was born on November 29, 1932 in Grand Haven, Michigan. He was raised by his mother and dad who predeceased him. Not a religious gent and not much of a fan of Donald Trump, and yet he had a love for Liz that was everlasting. So think about it for a moment. A handsome young man born in the upper Midwest, growing up on a lake. Then a young man so well educated he graduated from college. Oh no, not just any college, Harvard and the University of Michigan. He also served our great nation during wartime in the United States Army, and thankfully he returned home and then became the father to 3 incredible children and grandfather to many, and as mentioned, even a great-grandfather. He worked in the same field. He was so dedicated to it for those 40 years, supporting his family through it all. Sure, like many, especially those that had to serve during wartime, he did have his bumps in the road. But this man, this dad, well, imagine for a minute having a father that helps you put your resume together, to put your profiles, and even make job recommendations to, as that is what he did for strangers. But I'm certain the thought and love that was mixed together into helping his children with their professional endeavors was behind any suggestion that he made. Yet let us remember the true measure of a man is not determined by his show of outward strength or the volume of his voice or the thunder of his actions or even his intellect or academic abilities. It is seen rather in the terms of love that he has for others, the strength of his commitments, the genuineness of his friendships, and the sincerity of his purpose. The quiet courage to carry forth even though life-altering circumstances such as war came into his life, but to carry forward your strength of your convictions even during that service. And down to the care and simplicity Richard took in his life by writing beautiful birthday and anniversary cards to cherished friends and much-loved loved ones. Liz sweetly shared that her husband, he'd always written her such beautiful cards, which I'm sure you cherish now more than ever before. Oh, the pride Richard had for the love of the United States of America and his life serving honorably to the United States Army, to the love of his bride, his children, brothers, sisters, friends, and all those folks through the years that he got to share a little with. He enjoyed so many moments with you all, and he was a man that knew how to keep the plates spinning. Memories to hold close to from today forward, as surely we all agree that United States Army member Richard H. Harbeck was a caring family member, a loving husband, a patriotic American, a talented and gifted college graduate, a dedicated professional, and a good friend of which he had many. And so it's clear to me, and surely all of you, that our world just became a better place because Richard Harbeck lived in it. Together here at the lovely Hazley Funeral Home and Cremation Service Tribute Center, let us remember Richard for all his contributions that he made to those that truly mattered in his life, including his United States military veterans. And let us all reflect on what Richard would like to be remembered for most and what he'd say to his bride today. Liz, I'm going to miss you so, but he was so sorry also to leave you. But you know, he told me that he told you to please enjoy the rest of your life. He wants to be remembered for being kind and loving to his brothers and sisters, and Sharon shared that he would be so ready to give some advice and wisdom to if asked today. Richard, he'd want to be remembered for being supportive and helping out when needed, and the calls that he and his son even shared together over the phone. So with all of his advice giving, life advice, professional advice, for his successes in life, in his honorable service to the United States Army, for which we all thank him, as well as for his love for all of you, his dear family and friends, and for every riddle he told, it seems to me that Richard left this world in a better place than when he found it. Now, I've had much to share with you about Richard, so at this time, I would like to invite Sharon to step forward and share with us all.
Thank you. Those are beautiful words. So, before I begin, I want to ask you something. Does anyone know how old my father was? Well, according to Richard Harbeck, he was as old as his tongue and a little bit older than his teeth. That was Dad. As mentioned, he said that riddle to every doctor, every nurse, every receptionist, every grandchild, who ever made the mistake of asking, but he had a riddle to share about everything. I met Richard Harbeck when I was 9 years old. He took my mother and me to one of the rocky beaches around San Francisco Bay to fly a kite. It was a sunny, windy San Francisco kind of day. He didn't bring an ordinary kite. He brought a box kite. He was very patient and showed me, and we built that together on the rocks on the water. We launched that box kite, and the wind took it up fast and high. We ran out of string and eventually decided to let it go and watch it sail over the bay until it disappeared. That same year, he married my mother. Honestly, I'm not sure what I thought about all that at the time. I was only 9. Life was a bit confusing, but before I knew it, my sister Elizabeth was born. And I was so thrilled to have a sibling. At being an only child, it was a real treasure to have a little sister. And things happened fast. Before I knew it, we were moving to Michigan, and my brother Dickie was born. 2 siblings. As an only child, it was great to have 2. When I was 13, Richard adopted me, and I distinctly remember starting to call him Dad. That was a big transition for me. What came with that was a whole new family. Aunts, uncles, lots of great cousins, and a formidable grandfather and grandmother Harbeck. It also came with many, many lovely summers spent in Grand Haven, which was his home and where he grew up. I remember Dad taking me to a father-daughter dance in junior high. He was a good dancer. The previous fall, my mother had signed me up for dance lessons every Friday night. Learning to waltz, how to follow the lead, the footwork, and the whole protocol. This was not fun. Our teacher was stern. She was a robust woman with surprisingly tiny ankles. And it turned out that Dad had learned from that very same teacher, Mrs. Brown, when he was at Cranbrook. And we both got a real kick out of that. We both laughed at the way she put us through our paces. Even though it was years apart, nothing had changed about her one bit. Dad taught me how to sail. He drove me to camp every summer. He let me host parties, big ones, at our house, but he was always very chatty with whoever came through the door. He let me drive his GTO to school. First, I would drop him off at work. I'd leave and take the GTO to school. I can't say it always made it to school. Don't tell me. When I headed to college out in Boston, Dad and I would take the same GTO and drive through upstate New York, always spending the night in Rochester with his Uncle Herbert and Aunt Eleanor. Dad was always eager to see them, and he was always eager to show me the remarkable years of daily diaries that Uncle Herbert had kept. He would pull one off the shelf, find the date, and look for the memory tucked inside. Uncle Herbert always wrote down the weather and reported what activities had happened each day. Uncle Herbert had years and years of diaries on the shelf, and I remember my father really enjoying looking through them. But once we entered Massachusetts on our way to Boston, he always looked forward to stopping at Friendly's for lunch. On that drive, of course, we had ice cream. And once we arrived to Boston, Dad always took me out and showed me the proper way to put on a bib and eat a lobster. I always wonder what we might have talked about on those long drives. Whenever I moved to a new city, he would always subscribe me to the local newspaper. He said it would give me a sense of place, about the culture, the jobs, and the rhythms of the new community. It was such a thoughtful and quietly practical thing, and that was Dad. After my mother and dad went their separate ways, life took some new turns for all of us. One of the good turns was Liz. She came into his life and brought with her a steadfastness and companionship that meant a great deal to Dad and to us. She stood beside him throughout his life, the harder chapters, with loyalty and grace. And for that, I will always be grateful, Liz. Thank you. After I moved back to Seattle, I would call him every 2 weeks or so to check in. And one time he said that he'd heard on some TV show, maybe Oprah, how important it was to tell the people you love that you love them. You never know when you might not see them again. So from that point on, we always ended our calls the same way, every single time. I love you, Dad.
Thank you, Sharon. That was just beautiful, dear. Now, if there's anyone else here that would like to say a few words, this would be the time to do so. Would anyone like to say a few words? A memory? No. Precious memories. That is what we hold close to during valleys in life such as these. They are what will remind us to do what Richard did. Put one foot in front of the other, no matter what, and come what may. Liz asked me to also invite you all to Tudo Fresco after the service today. So if you would like to continue his life celebration and break bread together, she would love to have you. So this afternoon, as I prepare to conclude, I imagine that Richard might say the following to each of you as his final job as foreman in his life. My dear family and friends, there may be troubles ahead, but while there is family to hold close and to love, and lakes to sail upon, cribbage to be played, dogs to love, and riddles to be told, do not spend your time mourning me. Go out and do what I did in my life. Go out and face the music and dance. So Richard, as we honor your memory and the friends and the family you leave behind, we celebrate you and send you off with a hero's farewell. For Richard, today, we stand in solemn gratitude as we bid farewell. In your life, you lived with honor, served with courage, and upheld the values of the United States Army. So as you take your final watch, may you find peace on solid ground, your boots no longer burdened, and your battles all finally laid down. May honor be your blanket, and valor guard your rest. Now you, a U.S. Army member, now amongst the bravest and the best. For he lived with eyes wide open, believing in what could be known and clearly seen, a man of reason, integrity, and resolve. The Army shaped his strength and his steady hands, and his sense of duty meant so much, as did his fellow man. His love for his family was true, not shown just in words, but in the time he shared or the help he gave, in meals, laughter, or even just the ordinary moments. Richard Harbeck clearly spent his life well lived. He sailed through life as he sailed the seas, with steady hands and a heart set free. He weathered storms that others never knew, faced heavy burdens, but somehow he always carried through. He shared his laughter, his wisdom, and his riddles too, leaving friends and family smiling long after they were through. He knew that life was not measured by the miles we roam, but by the love he'd leave behind and the hearts that he called home. Today the tide carries him beyond our sight, past the horizon and into the eternal light. Though we stand upon the shore and wish that he could remain, we take comfort knowing he sets free now from every single pain. So let the winds be gentle and the waters calm and wide. as Richard charts a course where endless peace resides. And when the sail catches the breeze or a gull cries overhead, perhaps you'll feel his presence and remember the words that he said. For this is not goodbye forever, but simply a parting of the ways until you meet again beyond these earthly days. And somewhere on the sky's harbor, beneath a crystal blue sky, the sailor drops his anchor. He smiles and whispers, "Fair winds, my loves, my family, and my friends. Until it's your time, go ahead and sail on by." So as we prepare to depart, remember this: kidney disease. It cannot cripple love. It cannot shatter hope, and it cannot corrode faith. It cannot kill friendships or suppress memories, and it cannot destroy what each of you built with Richard, as it's clear what he built was a lifetime of love, and he shared it with you all in his own special way, is what he would want you to remember, not the disease he had to fight. This does now conclude my service for United States Army member Richard Harbeck, and as we depart, when Richard rests in peace, I will pray for your peace as well, and I pray the blessings of this life find you all, and that they are kind. Thank you very much.
me.